My hope is that this pipeline will make a lot more sense in like 10 minutes. By then, you will understand what this really means, both geopolitically and on a human level. It'll also make sense how this pipeline is connected to the people who live here. Like this guy, Vedat, a Turkish Cypriot who sometimes wishes he could get off this island.
I'm not hugely ambitious, but I do want to leave. If I can.
But for all of that to make sense, you have to understand the Turkish side of the story of what happened in 1974.
Kendi köylülerimiz bizi öldürmeye çalıştı. Tüfeklerini öyle hiç kaçmaz gözümün önünden. Yani yaşım ve hiç kaçmadı. Hala daha beynimden, gözümün önünden.
Cypriots became independent from the British in 1960. Soon, the two groups on the island were clashing. The Greek Cypriot majority bullying and massacring the Turkish Cypriot minority, who were driven out of their villages into camps around the country. This was one reason why in 1974, Turkey felt emboldened to intervene, to save the Turkish Cypriots from this persecution.
It's no wonder that the Turks rejoice. No wonder that the siege is but a bad memory from a past which will never return.
Kendi köylülerimiz bizi silah altına aldılar ve götürdüler öldürsünler.
Turkey took over the north of this island, forcing Greek Cypriots to leave their homes empty, only to be filled by Turkish Cypriots coming north for protection.
They won't return while the Turks are there.
My new mechanic friend, Doğay, came to this village that used to be a Greek village but was now empty from everyone having fled. And he found a home. So this is just moved in here?
That time. In 74, they moved in.
And the Turkish military gave him and his family a home to live in. Oh, this is the house that they moved into?
Yes.
When they arrived to this house, they found all the mundane things of a normal life. Homework from a high school geometry class.
This is schoolwork.
Schoolwork. Furniture and art. Lots of art, original art. The people living here must have been artists. How did it feel to arrive to a house that had people's art and belongings in it? By August 1974, Turkey had taken all of this land, which was now considered a safe haven for Turkish Cypriots. But the world didn't like this. They were calling this an illegal occupation. So Turkey held fast to their line of being protectors.
Generals of the Turkish High Command, their victory complete, arrived in triumph to acknowledge the greetings of those they had saved.
Herkes sevindi. Bütün köylü hey geliyor Türkiye sevindi.
But then freedoms are never given. You have to take them. I'm afraid we had to do that. Only Turkey could have helped us.
Turkish Cypriots felt saved by Turkey. But Turkey's motives for taking over all of this land wasn't just about saving 100,000 or so Turkish Cypriots. Starting in 1974, Turkey set about on a decades-long project of turning this land that they just took over into a country-like space that could help fulfill Turkey's bigger objectives in the region, while also ensuring that this 35% of the island would never be reunited with the rest of the island. There's this phrase we use in international relations called facts on the ground. It describes what geopolitical situations actually look like on the ground versus what they technically should look like, according to laws and treaties. So while all this land in northern Cyprus technically on paper belongs to the EU country called the Republic of Cyprus, in reality, the facts on the ground say otherwise. The facts that we're talking about in this case are usually humans, real people, occupying space and building physical infrastructure. It's the same reason why Israel subsidizes people to live out here in the West Bank, to make it harder to ever create a Palestinian state. Or why Russia sends hundreds of people to this remote island to work a coal mine that loses money, but that helps them establish a physical presence here in case oil is ever discovered in the Arctic. The upshot is that no matter what it says on paper, it's really hard to say that a space isn't a part of a country when it looks and acts like a part of that country. So this is the approach that Turkey decided to take after 1974. The Turkish government put out radio advertisements to rural parts of Turkey, telling low-wage workers that they could resettle on a nearby Mediterranean island, where they would be given a home, a farm, animals, money. More than 30,000 Turkish nationals took them up on the offer and headed for the occupied island. They filled these empty Greek homes. They started a new life.
What do you pay for the house?
For the time being, we don't pay. Hasn't come up yet.
But it's the property of the government now, is it?
Yes, it is, yes.
Are you worried at all that the original owner might somehow have some opportunity to get it back?
I don't think so. No, I don't worry.
You just don't think it'll happen, you mean?
No, I don't think so, no.
But here's the thing. Turkish Cypriots are not the same as Turkish nationals. While they both have cultural roots in the Ottoman Empire, many of these Turkish settlers align politically, culturally, and religiously with mainland Turkey more than with Cyprus.
Many Turkish Cypriots feel that their lifestyle and their culture are being threatened by the current Turkish government, by building mosques, by trying to take part in the change in the culture. Generally speaking, Turkish Cypriots are very secular, part of an island, easy-going lifestyle, maybe even less religious or enjoy their beliefs in privacy.
Birçok kültürel farkımız vardır bize. Yani sosyal olarak, kültürel olarak, hatta sanat olarak bile.
Yani onlar bizi anlamazdı. Yemek kültürümüzü, konuşma tarzımızı.
In the decades that followed, Turkish mainlanders kept coming.
Ve hangi amaçla bu adaya geldiğine de bakılmalı. Bu kontrolsüz göç durdurulmazsa Kıbrıs Türklerinin ve Kıbrıs adasının geleceğini hiç iyi görmüyorum.
Over the years, Turkey helped the Cypriots establish a new government. They renamed all of the villages from Greek names to Turkish names. And eventually they declared this place a new country, the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, or TRNC. The rest of the world, of course, rejected this. This was not a new country. It was still the Republic of Cyprus, with just 35% of it being occupied by Turkey. And indeed, efforts from the international community focused on reunifying this island, making it one Cyprus. Turkey knew that the only way to stop this was not just to send people to occupy the land, but also to make this place feel and look like a real country, one that is deeply reliant on Turkey. Facts on the ground.
So I'm now at a base for the Coast Guard, about to get on a boat. Wow. Okay. Good morning. Hi there. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I rode with the TRNC Coast Guard. It was kind of a bizarre experience. Halfway through the ride, the leader of the boat, who was sort of escorting us on this trip, started prompting me to get shots of this flag, the TRNC flag, which looks very similar to Turkey's flag. He asked me a few times to get this shot. For all of the military and government ride-alongs I've been on, this was a strange moment. And it clearly revealed why the TRNC Coast Guard let me come here in the first place. Why it was fairly easy to get access. Turkey wants the world to see that this is a real country. Look, it has a real military with a real flag. But in reality, if you peek under the surface, you'll see that this TRNC military has anywhere from 3,000 to 9,000 troops on the island. Compare that with the more than 30,000 troops that Turkey has here. And in fact, 2/3 of the entire TRNC budget is funded by Turkey. The TRNC is a place sponsored by Turkey. And they eagerly let me come cover their military or get shots of their border crossing so that I would broadcast these facts on the ground to the world, to show how country-like this place feels. And indeed, admittedly it does. So the big question I have is why? Why does Turkey do this thing that the rest of the world condemns, just so that they can have 35% of this island? The first answer to that is just general geopolitics, whose tagline is, control more land, especially land that recently had a deposit of oil and gas off its shores.
The Greek-dominated Republic of Cyprus is now set to profit from natural gas.
So on the agenda in Brussels yesterday was
Turkey's
drilling for oil and gas
in the hotly contested East Mediterranean
off the coast of Cyprus.
People here are worried about another war.
A single incident could easily draw the region into a devastating war.
Turkey claims that all of this is the economic water of the TRNC, but no one on earth would let that happen. So in response, Turkey opened a new base on the TRNC with drones and other military infrastructure just to reinforce their claim with firepower. The other major reason for all of this is just straight up nationalism. The current president in Turkey is sort of a make Turkey great again kind of guy. Owning Cyprus is just another place for him to spread that ideology and religious fervor. And P.S., that Turkish nationalism is also spread vigorously by his army of Turkish nationalists on the internet. You'll definitely see them in the comments of this video. But yeah, Turkey wants to keep this part of Cyprus. They don't want it to fall back into the hands of the Republic of Cyprus, where it would become a member of the EU and part of a country that isn't super friendly to Turkey. Okay, so geopolitics, blah, blah, blah. What about the people who are actually living here every day? We can look at a map all day long, but I came here to talk to the people who live in a place that is more and more reliant on Turkey.
How do you feel about Turkey, the country today, and its presence here? Does it feel protective?
To be honest, to me it doesn't feel protective. It feels rather like digesting conquered territory. That might sound extreme to some, but that's how I see it.
You live in a country that the rest of the world doesn't recognize as a country.
Yes.
How does that feel to you?
It feels secluded, to be honest.
This pseudo-country of northern Cyprus isn't able to trade with any other country. Any goods that come in here have to go through Turkey first. Any goods that go out of here have to go to Turkey and be handled or modified in some way so that they are technically Turkish all of a sudden, and then they can be shipped out into the world.
Only 63 foreign ships were handled at Famagusta last year, for the regime is not yet recognized by anyone but Turkey. The biggest single user of Famagusta's port is the Turkish military, 137 ships last year.
I'd like to say this, like everything in the TRNC is like a cheap knockoff of the original.
And then you have the airport here in northern Cyprus. Again, it's sort of an illegal airport. It only flies to Turkey. It can't fly to any other country.
It feels like there's the TRNC and then there's the world.
Yeah.
So everything else is different here.
Yeah.
Most of the diplomas that you get from TRNC, they aren't recognized anywhere in the world. I think there are exceptions to like 1 or 2 universities, but most of them are practically useless if you're planning to go abroad. Because they're not recognized.
All of this makes the people here locked into Turkey's world. For trade, for business, for security, for government funding, it's all Turkey.
Everywhere, mainland Turkey casts a giant shadow. What then of the Turkish Cypriot identity? Cyprus is already divided. Will the north soon become just another Turkish province?
Bu da büyük bir sıkıntı bizim için. Yani özellikle Kıbrıs'ın Türkler için. Ve bu yüzden ekonomik, sanat, spor yönlerinden gelişmemekteyiz, gelişemiyoruz.
Well, ultimately, I believe that Cyprus belongs to Cypriots, Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots alike. And they should have the final say in the future of their country.
And that gets us back to this pipeline, the one that sends water from southern Turkey into Cyprus, to provide drinking water for the people here. Is it starting to make more sense now? I called this an umbilical cord because it represents just one of the many ways that Turkey, who calls themselves the mother country, has made the TRNC reliant on them. Now listen, it's one thing to fund the government and the military and be the only gateway to the global economy, but this is water, for heaven's sake. It's survival. This is a much deeper level of reliance. This reliance was made very clear in 2020 when the pipeline burst. The towns that have their water systems now linked into this pipeline were without water for days, sometimes weeks. They eventually fixed the pipeline, but all of this revealed just how reliant these people now are on the country across the sea. Turkish Cypriots, of course, would never go for this if they had another option. But the reality is, they don't because they needed water, so they took the gift.
He'll say, we came and we saved you, you need us. So it's all this sort of like, yes, they did help when we needed it back in the day, but it just feels like now we're being held hostage by the fact that they helped.
All of these reliances on Turkey make it less and less likely that this island will ever find unity again. With every Turkish national that moves here, or every bit of money used to build the military or government here, with every infrastructure project, real peace on this island becomes less and less possible. Facts on the ground, more and more every year, just as Turkey intended. But listen, I want to make one thing clear. This isn't as simple as Turkey holding the people of Cyprus hostage. It's more nuanced than that, especially if you were a Turkish Cypriot in the 60s and 70s.
Rumlar köye girdiğinde herkes katliam beklerdi.
Bizi alıp götürdüler, orada silahlar hep kurulu, biz öldürsünler. Kesilirdi hayvanları, bakkaliyelerimizi soydular.
These were minorities who were bullied and massacred, and they found refuge when Turkey came in to save them. That's a reality that's not easy to forget. But in the end, it's clear that even despite the pro-Turkey feelings among some Turkish Cypriots, what Turkey has done to this island is prioritize Turkey's interests and not the interests of the people, who even though they receive all of these gifts, really pay the price of being Turkey's political pawn.